I think we can all agree that the future of banking is digital, or at least phygital. To paraphrase Brett King, we're now in the era where banking is something you do, not somewhere you go. We've seen a number of digital banks pop up and gain popularity in the last couple of years. Digital banks like Monzo in the UK, or Kuda Bank from Nigeria, or Varo Bank in the US. But here's the big question. If you wanted to build your own digital or neobank platform from scratch, where would you even start? So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the exact steps and considerations you need to make, from securing licenses to designing the tech stack, so you can go from an idea to a fully operational digital bank. If that sounds interesting to you, then let's jump in. Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jeremy, and if you're new here and haven't yet subscribed, please consider doing so, because on this channel I speak about fintech, digital transformation, and agile strategy. First of all, let's start by clarifying what we mean by a digital bank. A lot of times we conflate a digital bank with a neobank. Now, even though the steps I'll be outlining in this video apply to both, there is a difference between them both. A digital bank is a fully licensed financial institution that operates primarily or entirely online. It offers all of the same regulated services you'd get from a traditional bank, including holding deposits, issuing loans, processing payments, and keeping your account insured, but without the need for the big, expensive physical network of branches. It meets the same strict regulatory capital and compliance requirements as any other brick-and-mortar bank, but leverages technology to deliver these services through mobile apps and web platforms to deliver the services faster, more conveniently, and often with a lot more personalization. Now here's where it's different from a neobank. A neobank is also digital first, but it doesn't actually hold its own full banking license. Instead, it partners with licensed banks and other regulated institutions working under their compliance umbrella. This means neobanks can get to market faster and with less startup capital, focusing instead on building sleek apps, cool features, and targeting specific customer groups. The trade-off? They don't have full control over things like deposit insurance, lending limits, or regulatory approvals, because those ultimately sit with their partner bank. Now that we're clear on what a digital bank is, let's go on to some of the primary and most essential things to consider when you decide to build a digital bank, because jumping in without a plan is how you end up with a very expensive app that only your mom downloads. Now, before you even start thinking about the more technical elements of building a digital bank, like regulations, capital, or tech, I want you to first focus on some key basic considerations that are foundational big picture things that can either make or break the whole venture. The first is your why and your long-term vision. Be brutally honest and clear with yourself on why you want to build a digital bank. Think about what success looks like in the next 5 to 10 years. Ask yourself the right introspective questions. Are you solving a real problem, or are you simply chasing a trend? It's very important to be clear right from the start. The next is to consider the market timing and readiness. Assess whether the market is ready for your idea now. Remember, Netflix tried to launch online movie streaming in the early 2000s, but internet speeds were slow, broadband penetration was low, and most people rented DVDs, so the idea didn't take off. Now fast forward a couple of years and they relaunched in 2007 when high-speed internet, computers, and smartphone penetration were at prime, and Netflix exploded globally and transformed the entertainment industry. Launching too early means you spend years convincing people that they have a problem before you can sell them the solution. Next is the culture and behavior of your target market. You need to understand how people in your target market view money, banks, and technology. This is because culture will shape adoption far more than the product features do. You can't disrupt culture. You either have to work with it, or it will quietly work against you until you run out of money. Next is the people, your founding team. You need to have the right mix of visionaries, operators, tech talent, and compliance experts, because without this, everything else will collapse. The wrong founding team will burn through the right idea faster than the right team can fix the wrong idea. So bear that in mind. And finally, your exit or scale strategy. You need to decide very early on whether you are building to dominate, whether you are building to be acquired, or whether you are building to expand regionally. This consideration will inform the decisions you make from day one. Like they say, if you don't know the destination, every road will look like the right one until you are lost and broke. Now that we've gone through all the considerations, let's jump into the main actions or steps to take. Step 1, regulatory and licensing. Now, one of the first actions is to secure the right regulatory license. Remember that digital banks are fully licensed financial institutions, so the first step is to acquire the license. You need to understand your local laws and regulations around license categories and align with the central bank requirements before you write a single line of code. In recent times, we've heard of regulators issuing dedicated digital banking licenses. If your regulator offers this, then good for you. Your life has just been made simpler because most often the capital requirements are not as heavy or onerous or rigid as traditional bank licenses, meaning you can get to market faster with less financial strain. If not, then you have a few other options. You can get a full banking license for banking activities. You can get a non-bank financial institution license, which allows you to offer most services that regular banks do. This is actually the most popular for online banking. Or you can get a license under the name of a well-established traditional bank if it's hard to develop your own brand. It's important to bear in mind that depending on your country and regulator, some licensing entities will only give you a license if you have a working prototype or a proof of business model, while other entities will give you a license before you start creating anything. So to avoid any issues, it's best to work with an expert or consultant if you're not as familiar with the regulations. I put this as the first step because the reality is, if you can't get past this step, or at least obtain enough regulatory comfort to proceed, then every move you make without the right license pushes you closer to operating illegally. And no amount of clever coding can save you from the regulator's cease and desist order. Step 2 is to identify your target audience. There's really no point in starting the work of building a digital bank if you don't know who your customers will be. It's important to do the market research to determine whether your target market is the mass market and financially excluded, the affluent or high net worth individuals, young tech-savvy professionals, or if you will focus on more niche segments like SMEs or gig workers. Identifying and narrowing down your target audience will determine what kinds of channels, services, and products that you put into production. Knowing your potential audience will help you develop personas from which the developers and designers can build a market-relevant product. Remember that globally, only about 22 to 45% of the world uses digital banking. A significant part of the population still prefers traditional banking. This means you will need to build trust through awareness, transparency, and a very clear value proposition. Step 3, capital and funding model. Now, before you dream about the app design or onboarding your first customer, get brutally honest about the money. Define exactly how much money you'll need to not just launch, but also sustain operations until you hit break even. This means factoring in technology build, licensing costs, regulatory compliance, marketing, staffing, and customer acquisition. Work out your burn rates. Figure out your runway and know exactly where the money is coming from. Are you bootstrapping? Are you giving equity to investors? Are you taking loans? Are you finding strategic partners? Are you getting in revenue sharing arrangements? Or are you doing some combination of these options? You need to understand the trade-offs of each. Consider phasing your funding to match your growth stages so you're not over-raising and over-diluting at the start or underfunding yourself into a stall. Remember, many digital banks fail not because the idea was bad, but because they simply ran out of money before reaching scale. The next step is technology and infrastructure. Now, of course, it's a digital bank you're building, so the technology and infrastructure are essentially the backbone of your entire business. This step is about picking the right tools and systems so your digital bank can scale without breaking, remain secure, and connect seamlessly to other services. There are a number of aspects of your tech stack that you need to consider. Which aspects to build, to buy, or to partner up for? You have to focus on building the systems that will define your competitive edge, like your customer experience or your credit scoring logic or engine. You build these because they become your core intellectual property. For things like processing, KYC, or card issuing, you need to partner with a proven provider through API platforms or banking as a service platforms. Now, when it comes to scalability, you need to choose a modern cloud-based architecture that can handle 1,000 users today and 10 million users tomorrow without costly rewrites. So you have to think containerization, microservices, and horizontal scaling. Security by design. Your stack must have strong identity and access controls, encrypt data in transit and at rest, use secure API gateways, and schedule regular penetration testing. Ensure your infrastructure complies with global standards like PCI DSS, ISO 27001, local data protection laws, and map where your data lives and flows and audit trails from day one. And prepare for problems. Have backups, disaster recovery plans, and failover systems or ways to keep the services running even if part of the system goes down. Track what's happening. Put in place login metrics and real-time alerts so your team can detect and respond to issues from fraud attempts to API failures before they start to affect your customers. Your integration layer. Use standard protocols and idempotent API calls to connect easily with banks, payment processors, and telco partners. And there's others to think about. Your data platform, DevOps, SDLC, your device and UX stack. Choose native, iOS or Android or cross-platform with offline-first patterns, lightweight SDKs, and strong app attestation. I know a lot goes into the tech stack, which can be quite complicated if you aren't technical, which is why you need to have a great CTO. But the reality is, if your systems aren't secure, reliable, and easy to grow, it's like building a bank on shaky ground. It might look fine for now, but it won't last when the pressure comes. So just do the work and build a solid stack. Step 5 is monetization strategy and customer value proposition. No matter how innovative your digital bank is, investors want to see a clear path to generating sustainable revenue. Monetization can take multiple forms. Charging transaction fees such as commissions on cash deposits, ATM withdrawals, or cross-border transfers, earning interest spreads from lending products like personal, business, or student loans, or offering freemium models where basic services are free, but premium tiers unlock perks such as higher savings rates, travel insurance, concierge support, or exclusive partner discounts. The key is to align your monetization strategy with your customer value proposition. The way you make money should feel natural to your users, not like an extra layer of friction. For example, if your value proposition is fast, affordable access to credit, your revenue should come from fair and transparent lending terms, not hidden fees. This ensures your growth, profitability, and brand trust move in the same direction. Building a digital bank isn't just about launching an app. It's about designing a trusted financial ecosystem that's secure, scalable, and solves real problems better than anyone else. And while it's yet to be seen whether markets like Africa will go fully digital, the foundations we lay today will determine who leads in the future. I hope you found this video valuable, and if you did, remember to hit the like button and leave me a comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.